In the Disney version of Alice in Wonderland, the White Rabbit says to Alice, "Don't just do something, stand there." It's a humorous moment because it stands a well-known phrase on its head. But sometimes this is very good advice. One of the criticisms most often leveled at politicians in Washington, D.C. is that they've failed to do anything. As a result, voters line up behind whichever candidate they think can get things done. But it matters what is being done. Action for the sake of action is not always an improvement. Sometimes it's better when government does less. Our founding fathers and some after them, like President Ronald Reagan, recognized that more government action often leads to bad results for you and me, such as a loss of freedom. This might be an unpopular fact, but it is a fact, nonetheless, that the founders purposely designed our federal government to be somewhat inefficient. They didn't want the national government doing much of anything unless there was widespread agreement on it. Contrast that with the posture of President Obama, failing to gain the consent of Congress, the direct representatives of the people, for such pet projects as gun control, strict global warming regulations, and a relaxed immigration policy. President Obama instead has resorted to executive orders to accomplish his agenda. In issuing these king-like edicts, he famously said, "We're not just going to be waiting around for legislation. I've got a pen and I've got a phone." This sort of language should alarm any constitutionally minded American. Our founders, recognizing human sinfulness, refused to put power into one person's hands. When Americans cast off the protections afforded by the constitutional separation of powers, they are like ancient Israel, begging to be lorded over by a king. But as Christians who believe in the rule of law and recognize the corruption of sinful nature, we should be vocal in calling upon our elected representatives to stop such abuses of power.